Slow DJ mixing is dead because this is the most popular DJing style right now on social media. Doing this style of DJing and looping is actually stupidly simple once you break it down piece by piece. And so in this video, I'm gonna teach you how to do this professional style of looping, and I'll also teach you a practice routine you can do to fully master this new style of DJing. Now before we start this tutorial, let me just let you know that all the tracks used in this video are free to download below. And if you're a member of the channel, you'll get even more free stuff like additional acapellas. And speaking of free stuff, I'm giving away this limited edition DDJ 400 for free. Just watch through this video to find out how you can join this giveaway. Quick warning! I will not be announcing the winner via Telegram because there are a bunch of scammers out there pretending to be me. So if you win, you will be emailed by this specific email. So this technical loop transition is comprised of three things. Number 1, manual looping and tightening. Number 2, volume cutting. And number 3, key manipulation. So let's start this tutorial by first learning how to make manual loops like a pro. Now the first thing you want to do is activate quantize. Doing so will ensure that when you make your manual loop, it will be perfectly set on the beat grid. FYI, perfect manual looping also involves properly beat gridding your song. So skip to this section over here for a quick guide. Anyway, with your properly beat gridded track loaded onto deck 1, let's make a manual loop via the in and out buttons. So the in button marks the section where the loop will begin, and the out button marks the section where the loop will end. So with that said, let's make a 4-beat loop. Press the exit button to exit the loop. Manual loops can be any size you want. It all really depends on when you press the out button. So you can make a long one, or you can make a short one. Most pro DJs though use the in and out button specifically to just do tricks like this. But how do pro DJs make their loops sound like that? Well, they do so by tightening their loop. And there are two ways you can do this, the easy way and the hard way. Let's start with the easy way. Now, the easy way to tighten your loop is by pressing the 1/2 X button. Doing so will half your loop. You can also use a 2X button to double the size of your loop. Anyway, pro DJs use the 1/2 X button to tighten their loop on beat, and they usually do so during a track's build-up. Usually when pro DJs reach a beat rate of 1, they do the technical method of tightening loops, which is the hard method, and that's by using the in and out buttons and the jog wheel. You see, you can adjust your loop's out position by pressing the out button once more and turning the jog wheel. And this also works with the loop's in position as well. Just press the in button once more and turn the jog wheel. Pro DJs though mostly use the out button and jog wheel to tighten their ongoing loop to incredibly dense rates so that the loop can sound like a long sample. They also refine their tight loops more by additionally pressing the in button and turning the jog wheel clockwise. The reason why they use both the in and out button to refine their loops is because doing so enables their loop to sound less harsh. So instead of having their loop sound like this, it'll sound like this. Now that you know how to make your loops incredibly tight, it's time now to accent it. So pro DJs do so by rhythmically cutting these tight loops with either the crossfader or volume fader. They also add flair to this trick by affecting the loop's key via the tempo fader with key lock off or with the key shift functions. So now that you know the various methods on how to manipulate your loops, let's now apply this knowledge and learn a practice routine you can do to further master this style of DJing and looping. Now keep in mind that this insane practice routine combines everything we learned so far plus the best elements of those videos I just showed you. So it'll start stupidly simple and eventually get pretty insane. Don't worry though, I'll be breaking down this 5-part practice routine step by step so that you can do this trick yourself. Now doing this style of looping and accenting takes proper software and track preparation. What? So before we get to the exciting part where we break down each section of the routine, let's first prepare our software. Now to get that vinyl break sound effect when you stop a track, do this. To enable sharp cutting with your crossfader, do this. With those two things done, set your primary effect as echo and change its parameter to 1/2. Now let's set up our decks and ensure our timing will always be perfect. So set both decks tempo range to wide, disable master tempo, and activate quantize on both decks. Finally, ensure this Hot Q setting on Rekordbox DJ is disabled, and that your Hot Q quantize settings are set to 1/16. With your software set up, let's now prepare the tracks we'll be using. So load your instrumental to deck 1 and load your acapella to deck 2. On your instrumental track, set cue point A here. Now on your acapella, we have 5 things to do. Number 1. Ensure your beat grid starts here and that the acapella's BPM is set to 127. Number 2. Set cue point A here. Number 3. set cue point B here. Number 4 and 5. Then make a 1 beat loop here and set that as cue point C. And now let's proceed to doing this routine. Here's what we're going to do for part 1 of this routine, which involves the first 16 beats of the instrumental. So trigger both tracks via their cue point A section and immediately stop the acapella once it reaches its toe sample. Re-trigger the acapella via cue point A and stop it once again once it reaches its toe sample. Re-trigger the acapella via cue point A, and this time trigger cue point B multiple times while bringing the track's tempo fader up and back to the neutral position. So this is part 1 of the routine. Next, for part 2 of this routine, which involves the first 16 beats of the first chorus, here's what we're going to do. So when the instrumental reaches its drop, trigger the acapella via cue point A. Then stop it once it reaches its toe sample, and do this pattern twice. Next, trigger the acapella via cue point A, and this time make a 1 beat loop on the toe sample via the in and out buttons. Then let that loop go on for 4 beats. So this is part 2 of the routine. For part 3 of this routine, which involves the last 16 beats of the first chorus, we'll be doing 2 patterns. For the first pattern, we'll let the 1 beat loop go on for 3 beats. Then, we'll backspin the loop at the 4th beat. Then, very quickly, we'll stop the deck from spinning. Then trigger cue point C. And here's the first pattern done in slow motion. Now for the second pattern, we'll let the 1 beat loop go on for 3 beats. Then on the 4th beat, we'll vinyl break the track, then trigger cue point C. So part 3 involves alternating between the first and second pattern for a total of 3 times each. Part 4 of the routine involves a build-up which lasts for 24 beats. So here's what we're going to do for the first 16. With your 1 beat loop going on, we'll first press the out button. Then we'll turn the jog wheel counterclockwise to tighten the loop. Then we'll press the in button and turn the jog wheel clockwise to tighten the loop even more. If you have time, try to do a quick high-pass filter. After 16 beats of loop tightening have passed, we'll silence our loop by slamming the crossfader to the left side. Doing that will let the instrumental play out solo. Now once the instrumental sample plays, quickly activate a 1-off echo effect on the loop and make sure key shift mode is armed. So this is part 4 of the routine. So part 5 involves 3 things. Cutting the tight loop via the crossfader, vinyl break stopping the loop, and key shifting the loop. Quick disclaimer, the coolness of this section heavily depends on your proficiency with cutting. So don't feel like you need to copy my pattern of cutting to do this routine. Just cut the sample as best as you can. Now speaking of cutting, here's how we'll be cutting the sample. So keeping your crossfader on the left side, tap it to hear the sample, then bring it back to the left side. Now if you're still watching this video, here's how to join the giveaway. Just subscribe, like this video, download this video's free practice tracks if you haven't already, and comment down below your thoughts on this loop trick. Although I will say, be careful in the comment section. If you get replies from an account that isn't me saying that you've won something, well, that isn't me. Because the winner will be emailed in the next 36 days by this particular email. So make sure to check your inboxes and not the comment section to know if you've won. Now let's break down part 5. So we'll be doing 2 patterns. The first is this. Rhythmically cut the sample with the crossfader for 3 beats. Then, making sure the crossfader is not on the left side, vinyl break the sample at the 4th beat. Then, bring back the crossfader to the left side to silence the loop. So here's pattern 1 done in succession. Feel free to cut the sample in any pattern you want. Pattern 2 involves using key shift, and key shift on the DD-Shift 400 can be activated by pressing shift and the sample button. Now, if your controller doesn't have key shift, simply use the tempo fader to alter the key of your sample. Anyway, with key shift enabled, cut the sample for 4 beats, and while doing so, press pad 6, 7, 8, then 8, 7, 6, and 5. So here's pattern 2 done in succession. Feel free again to freestyle this section however you want. Now to do part 5, simply do pattern 1 and 2 in succession for a total of 4 times. Then on the 4th time, when you're done doing pattern number 2, just vinyl break stop the track. The key to beat gridding is identifying where your 1 is, and that's usually the first beat of your track. So to beat grid on Rekordbox DJ, let's first view our BPM/grid buttons. Next, with our track loaded up, let's zoom in. Now that we can see our track's waveform better, we can accurately set our beat grid marker. This is where the first beat really begins, so let's set our beat grid marker here. And now your track is properly beat gridded. But how do you beat grid acapellas? Well, we apply the same principle. So first identify the 1 of the acapella. Once you find it, set your beat grid marker there. So overall, this style of looping will 100% level up your creativity and coolness when you DJ. But if you really want to take your DJing further, and actually learn a technique that you can use every time you DJ, well, you need to check this video out because this video here will 10x your mixing smoothness.